Yeah, it's kind of like, like that black tar toothpaste. This is not a good look, guys. It's not a good look. Welcome back, YouTube family. Now, this is the first time I was actually not going to share a recipe with you, simply because the ingredient for this recipe is incredibly rare. But this product has too many health properties not to share with you. And besides, I figured I would do this for cultural preservation. One way this ingredient is used is in an ancient Palestinian cake, and I'm going to share that recipe with you along with a nice substitute that you can use. But right now, if you want to find out what this ingredient is all about, you'll want to watch right here on Feast in the Middle East. Okay, are you guys ready to find out what the mystery ingredient is? It's called quezha, or nigella seed paste. As for the Arabic pronunciation, notice it starts with the Q, but it is silent. So instead of saying quezha or quezha, it's really quezha. Now, this paste is native to the Middle East and India, and it's actually a specialty of Palestine, particularly in Nablus. In Arabic, nigella seeds are called habbat al-baraka, or seeds of blessing. And according to tradition, the Prophet Muhammad proclaimed that the seeds could cure everything except for death. Now, in modern science, as explained by The Telegraph, for example, they say that nigella has a superfood-like status, and it could be a possible factor in reducing cholesterol, high blood pressure, and diabetes, among other ailments. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what does this stuff taste like? Well, I would say it is a close cousin to tahini paste, okay? The black nigella seeds are kind of similar to sesame seeds. Except, look, when I say it looks like engine oil, I'm not kidding. Or maybe even squid ink paste, honestly. The flavor is a little bit bitter, but it does have some slightly sweet undertones and almost a minty-like flavor. What the elderly have done in Palestine is take a spoonful a day to ward off any diseases. They swear that this stuff is magical, that it cures pretty much anything. As for the mess factor, yeah, it's kind of like, like that black tar toothpaste. This is not a good look, guys. It's not a good look. But it's not bad. As a matter of fact, some people say it's addictive once you get over the shock value, Now, this is not an endorsement of any kind, but you might ask, where do I get mine? I get mine from Al-Ard. I'll provide the link down below. This is actually the most authentic traditional nigella seed paste that's grown in Palestine. But if you don't have it and you don't want to order it, I totally understand. You can use tahini paste instead for the following ancient recipe I'm going to share with you. Okay, so the recipe I'm going to share with you is called semolina al-quezha. It is basically a semolina cake that is doused with a sugar syrup that is very similar to basbousa or namura, another recipe I've also shared on my channel. This cake is rustic, it makes a great dessert, and even a great breakfast cake. If you don't want it too sweet, you don't have to add the syrup. And I'm going to show you how to make it right now.
First, I'm going to make a simple sugar syrup. All you have to do is add 1 cup of sugar and then add 1 cup of water. You want to put this over the burner at high heat until it boils. And then once it boils, you want to reduce the heat to a simmer and simmer for about 10 minutes. Stir occasionally. Now let's get to the cake batter. Add 1 cup of semolina flour to a bowl. Here's where things get a little bit funky. I'm going to add 2 cups of einkorn flour. I'm using einkorn flour because it is an ancient flour that has a lot of minerals in it. It's also easier to digest. Now, most of the recipes for this cake call for stirring the flour over heat so that the flour is toasted for about 10 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do right now. This step is totally optional, but whatever you do, make sure you sift the flour before adding it to the batter. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now for the star ingredient, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of the black nigella seed paste. Again, you can use tahini paste if you prefer. Now this is a total game changer. I'm adding 1/4 cup of authentic Palestinian extra virgin olive oil, which I get from my local Middle Eastern market, but they do sell some great varieties online like Canaan Fair Trade as well as Al-Ard. I'm also going to add another 1/4 cup of avocado oil. Now, since this is an old school recipe, we're going to combine the ingredients the old school way with your hands. Now, I highly recommend wearing gloves so you don't get some black funk underneath your fingernails. You want to incorporate all the ingredients until they are well mixed. Notice there's no sugar in the batter yet. It's going to be added in a very interesting way. So I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar to about 1 cup of water. You want to stir it until it is dissolved. And then you want to pour a little bit at a time into the dough and work it with your hands. You might not need to use all of the sugar water. It really depends on what kind of flour that you're using, but the texture you want at the end of the mixing is this, like a really thick pancake batter. Now, similar to harissa or namura, you spread tahini paste all over the pan instead of butter. This is going to add an extra level of flavor. Then just pour the batter inside the pan, and this is where things get interesting. An identifying feature of this cake is the intricate pattern on top, and this is where you can get creative. There are really no rules. The final touch is to place blanched almonds into each section of your decor. Then bake at 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. I always like to add the juice of 1/2 lemon to my sugar syrup before adding it to the cake. And just as you would with namura or harissa or basbousa, pour the sugar syrup on the cake while it is still warm. Let the cake sit for about 15 minutes before serving.
I have actually never had this before. This recipe is so old that it has been preserved in very small segments of the population, and to be honest, I never grew up with this. But here it is. You can see the cake. It looks kind of fudgy, and I'm really excited to try this. Okay, so for those of you that are familiar with harissa, the semolina cake, it tastes very similar, but it almost has like a tahini or peanut buttery undertone to it. It's very dense and satisfying. It's definitely the kind of cake I would enjoy more in winter than in summer because it's really hearty. What's cool about this cake is it does have like a sort of savory undertone to it. But in any case, I'm here for the health benefits, and if this cures everything but death, I say sign me up. Thanks for joining me here on Feast in the Middle East. Now, for more healthy Middle Eastern recipes, check out my cookbook, which I will link up in the card. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you soon. Just wanted to thank Reda Naturals for sponsoring today's videos. Now, I love Reda Naturals because they're made in Lebanon. They're based on traditional recipes, made with all natural organic ingredients. These products are free of synthetic fragrances, as well as dyes, parabens, sulfates, and phthalates, and other harmful ingredients. Some highlights are a great starter kit for babies. Their baby products only have ingredients like almond oil, coconut oil, and they're unscented to leave baby skin soft without harsh chemicals. They have a shampoo, shower gel, lotion, and body soap. They also have a body oil collection. They have a nice, clean, masculine fragrance for men and a soft, lovely lavender fragrance for women. They even have soaps with simple ingredients like herbal water, coconut oil, olive oil, sesame, and olive oil. They have a pleasant, clean smell, washes without drying your skin, especially during winter. Right now, you can find Reda Naturals at retailers all over the world, and if you mention my channel, you could get 10% off.